The Galaxy Fold is a flop phone? Let's find out. The word smartphone came into use more than 20 years ago. Smartphones have become a vital part of our everyday life. Today they're something we swear by and almost can't live without. While great innovations in the smartphone world are making our lives easier by the day, some experiments just didn't hit the mark. Many smartphones just left us extremely disappointed. And for today's video, we decided to make a list of the biggest smartphone fails of all time. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First up, BlackBerry Storm. BlackBerries were the Apple of the 2000s. It was loved by everyone. When touchscreen smartphones started to take off in the market, BlackBerry was one of the brands that were up in the game until they launched the BlackBerry Storm. Reviews described the 2008 BlackBerry Storm as the worst smartphone ever. The smartphone had a clickable touchscreen that some users found satisfying, but many found rather confusing. The smartphone had a laggy screen, outdated software, and an awful battery performance and life. It was poorly designed and had a very short life on the shelves. It didn't even have a Wi-Fi support system. Around 1 million BlackBerry Storm phones were sold in 2008, and they were returned. Next up, the Nokia N9. Nokia, famous for its indestructible phones, also sadly made something super disappointing, the Nokia N9, which was launched in the year 2011. It never really had a chance because so many of mishaps that it had. Firstly, it was so expensive that it burned a hole in your pocket. Secondly, Nokia decided to use the already abandoned MeGo OS system. Also, at the same time, Apple released its iPhone 4s, which had better features and got more attention compared to Nokia N9. The phone didn't perform well in the market and was soon discontinued. The HTC Thunderbolt. The phone was launched in 2011. The HTC Thunderbolt was one of the first phones that enabled 4G with LTE support. It was one of the most hyped phones before its launch, but the hype soon turned into a huge disappointment which left many customers irritated. The phone's launch was delayed, and when it was finally released, the limited availability of LTE networks was one of the main setbacks that this device suffered. Apart from that, the terrible battery life, extremely slow software updates, random restarts, and poor performance led the phone to become one of the most hated smartphones ever. The Amazon Fire Phone. In the year 2014, Amazon, for some reason, decided to enter the smartphone market while doing well with its tablets. For some odd reason, they ignored the budget approach that served them well. The Amazon Fire Phone was a big disaster for the company. It had poor battery life with an extremely dull design. It also lacked support for Google Apps and had a sluggish performance. To make up for all the defects, Amazon decided to add a 3D gimmicky effect without any actual purpose. After all the negative responses it received for the phone, Amazon finally decided to accept a loss worth of $170 million. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Things started well with the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. The special S Pen stylus and our other features of the phone, along with its design, bought really good reviews for the phone. The smartphone was able to secure its stand in the market until a few devices started exploding or bursting into flames. It caused a bunch of injuries. The reason behind this was a faulty battery. Samsung even replaced the phones with secured ones, but as soon as the secured devices started exploding on flights home or offices, it prompted a global recall, and the Samsung finally decided to discontinue the production and stop the manufacturing of the phone. Next up, the iPhone 6 Plus. After mentioning the big companies in the phone game, After mentioning the big companies in the phone game, we think it's safe to mention the infamous phone brand Apple. It does come as a shock that a company like Apple wouldn't have a smartphone fail. The iPhone 6 Plus was just not as structurally sound as it should have been. There was a point where, if pressure was applied, the device would just deform itself. The thing was made a big deal as it bothered people to no end. Like the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, this defect also became fodder for viral YouTube videos and endless memes. The device also led to a fall in Apple's share and price, and hence became a failure for the company. And finally, the Samsung Galaxy Fold. It's sad to see Samsung here again in our list, but it's okay. Failures are what make us better in the long run, right? Look at Samsung. Basically nothing worked out for the Samsung Galaxy Fold. It started breaking down before it even entered the market. There were several problems with the smartphone, starting from the gap in between the screen and the rest of the phone. The gap left room for dirt to enter, which wasn't a good sign. Apart from that, the display structure of the phone started peeling off after a certain amount of folds. All these vulnerabilities in the phone led it to become another failure for Samsung. Anyway, this wraps up our video for today. Which smartphone failure is the worst one? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. We'll see you next time for more Nano 10s.